So hello, namaskar. Thank you so much to our guests on this Spice Money Chaupal, Noopur from NPCI Bbps and Anujeet from Svatantra Microfinance. Thank you so much, both of you, for taking out time from your busy schedules to join us at Spice Money. Our discussion today is really exciting because in the whole aspect of, how do we move a cash economy towards a digital economy? How do we digitize payments? NPCI has been taking a big lead, in fact, has been at the center of, the whole ecosystem. And we have Noopur with us, who's driving the whole Bharat bill payment system platform at NPCI. So let me start with you, Noopur. Welcome again. And it'd be great if we could just introduce BBPS to our listeners.
Sure. Thank you, Dilip. Thanks for having me. And it's always a pleasure to talk to the ecosystem partners who are actually responsible for the BBPS growth. And Spice Money has been a very, very key partner for us. Very simply put, if you pay your postpaid bill or DTH bill or electricity bill, then you're using us in the background. You may or may not be aware. You may be going to one of the consumer apps like PhonePe and Paytm, or you might be using your bank channels, or you actually might be going to your nearby Kirana shop or an agent for making that payment. But whatever mode or channel you use, you're actually using Bharat bill payment system. We are one of the unique platforms in the country which has all of you as consumers on one side and 20,000 plus billers on the other side, and we just make the transactions match. And that's what we do for our living. Our ethos is in interoperability, which means that all channels should be available and the choice should be in consumers' hand. And on the other side, billers use us because we are one of the most efficient collections platform today in the country. Dilip, I think that is sufficient.
Thank you, Noopur. Well, it's fascinating, what BBPS and your team has been able to achieve. And, Anujeet, maybe I could come to you, and if you could just introduce your microfinance company and what you do. You're one of the very well-known microfinance companies in the country. So great to have you on board. If you could just give a quick introduction on your company.
Sure. Thank you, Dilip. Firstly, thank you for inviting us here today. So I am Anujeet Varadkar. I'm the CEO at Svatantra Microfin. We are a 10-year-old NBFC MFI. We are a microfinance institution, which means we give small ticket income-generating loans to rural women by arranging them into a group of 5 to 30 women through a joint liability model. As we speak, we are present in 19 states, 80,000 villages. We serve 2 million customers and have an AUM of 6,500 crore.
Thank you, Anujeet. So maybe we just get to the core of the issue, Noopur. How do you see MFIs adopting BBPS? How has it been so far, and how are you seeing it going forward? Noopur, can you hear me?
Dilip, there's a lag. Could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah. Am I audible now?
Yes, please.
Yeah, Noopur, I'm saying that, just getting straight to the issue at hand, how are you seeing MFIs adopt BBPS, right? How's been the adoption so far, and how do you see the journey going ahead?
Sure. So, Dilip, thanks for asking. And, one of the categories I've been extremely bullish about, and they've been witnessing phenomenal growth, is the lending segment itself. And I think the entire impetus come on account of pandemic, because people were locked back home. They did not know how to transact. And that's where a lot of NBFCs, MFIs approached us. And overnight, we onboarded quite a lot of them to enable customers to pay digitally, sitting at home, because they did not have an option of paying in cash or moving out. Over the last 1 year, in fact, there's one segment which has seen more than 5x growth for BBPS. We have almost 300 NBFCs and other lending organizations on us. MFIs, however, have been relatively slower to start. And, we will hear from Anujeet, why is that the case? But, hello.
Yeah, Noopur, we can hear you now. We lost you in between, but we can hear you now. Please go ahead.
So
We lost you
I was
when you were saying that we'll hear from Anujeet because MFIs have been slow or slower than others, perhaps, in adopting BBPS.
Yeah, I think the MFIs segment is by nature more attuned to cash and cash repayments. However, above MFIs, be it banks or NBFCs, we have seen immense digital adoption, and BBPS has been at the center of that growth, having grown 5x in the last 1 year, and with more than 300 lenders on our portfolio right now. So I continue to be very, very bullish about this entire loan repayment segment. And we look forward to more and more partnerships with the MFIs as we move forward.
So Anujeet, when it comes to the microfinance industry, right, we hear about, the loan dispersal having got digitized quite a bit, but loan collections is still not digitized. What do you see are the barriers, and where do you see a platform like BBPS help?
Yeah, so if we look at the persona of the household that a microfinance institution lends to, if you look at the income profile, income is 3 lakh and below. This is annual household income. Occupation is predominantly agri and agri-allied. They may or they may not have a smartphone, right? They earn in cash, which is the predominant fundamental problem. They earn in cash, spend in cash very conveniently. There is no real incentive for them to digitize their money, digitize their cash. Even if they choose to digitize their cash, that is a cost to them, right? So these are the barriers for the MFI borrowers to move from cash collections to cashless collections. Also, from a design point of view, if you look at any of the payment mechanisms which are available today, MFIs would typically like a mechanism which is mandate-based, which is recurring, but which doesn't have a bounce charge, right? So NASH is very, very good. It is mandate-based, it is recurring, but the bounce charge is prohibitive. So MFI borrower paying probably a 500 rupees as a weekly installment, if she misses that installment, probably she'll be charged 500 rupees as a bounce charge, because banks charge anywhere from 300 to 700 rupees, right? So if we take care of these design issues from a product point of view, and as and when these borrowers get paid at least a part of their amount digitally, probably that will slowly help them warm up to cashless payments. MFIs have tried their bit. MFIs have tried AEPS. We are on BBPS. We have seen good amount of traction on BBPS, but these are only those customers who are on smartphones. I'm talking of a DIY BBPS, not an assisted BBPS. But we have tried. So we work very, very closely with NPCI on all of their initiatives. We have been one of the pioneers. But currently, there is only a certain percentage that you can achieve so the effort that you put is disproportionate to achieve what you want to achieve for cashless collections.
Noopur, how do you see some of these friction points or challenges that Anujeet is calling out? Bounce charges, recurring, mandate-based. Are these points that your team and you've looked at, and can BBPS help here in any way?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, a lot of lending transactions that happen on BBPS are post the SI or NASH having bounced elsewhere. So if the customer does not have the digital money available as we know it in his current account or savings account, that's when the lenders use BBPS and tell the customer that, hey, that's okay. You can go to any of the 1,000 odd channels that BBPS provides. You can go to any of the 4 million physical touch points that BBPS provides and pay from one of these channels. And, Dilip, your organization has been at the forefront of encouraging those transactions, so you would know. And, some of the points that Anujeet mentioned are very real. Most of the digital transactions today happen out of the 600 million smartphone users in the country. The 400 million feature phone users, so far have been left out. with UPI Lite and UPI 123 and some of these initiatives, we're trying to bring those consumers into the fold, but it will be a journey that we will all have to work towards. So one is that real problem of the feature phone base that exists. The second is really the digital literacy. And even if the consumers have a smartphone because they have the money to buy and the ticket sizes have been going down, they're not confident about using the phone, either because the transactions are not available in terms of a vernacular confirmation, or because they've heard some story or the other of a fraud transaction. They're scared, and that's where again the ecosystem has to come together and take these people by hand towards the digital journey.
Yeah. Anujeet, if I may, if some of these challenges that you outlined can be addressed, and Noopur kind of threw light on that, what are the benefits you see, right? If at the end of the day, the cash collections can be digitized, right? As a microfinance institution, what are some of the economic and other benefits that would accrue to you? If today, for example, you don't need a collection officer going into the village to collect cash, and the customers can either pay themselves or go to a BC agent point in their village and use Bbps to pay for the repayment. What are the benefits that you see accruing to a microfinance institution?
The benefits are huge. The operational, so how does an MFI work? With disbursed loan to the borrowers, the tenor of the loan is 12, 18, 24 months. The repayment frequency is weekly, fortnightly, or monthly. So if it is monthly and a 2-year tenure, for 24 months, our field officer would show up at the doorstep of the center in the village and collect from the borrower, right? So we have to provision for one loan officer who is also the collections officer, probably for 400 to 450 borrowers. If hypothetically everyone starts paying us digitally, the benefits are twofold. First is we do not have to provision so many collections officers. Second, because their time would be freed up and they would probably only collect from, say, people able to pay digitally and say 15 or 20%, which is the typical bounce charge in other assets, their productivity will shoot multifold, right? So benefits are there to be seen. And hence, every MFI in one way or the other is working towards it. But nobody has really breached the 20% mark. So none of the MFIs probably have more than 20% of their customers paying digitally.
So exactly. So I think it's very clear that, Anujeet, there are benefits to digitizing collections, right? MFI collections, and BBPS is a clear platform. Noopur, if I may come to you, you spoke about feature phone, you spoke about digital literacy. And I think that's where maybe a combination of self-serve and agent networks can come in, right? Because the customers who are on smartphone, who are digitally literate, who are comfortable paying using a UPI or other apps on their phone may do that. But then others who are not can still go to an agent point in their village and pay there, right, using BBPS as a platform. In fact, to share with both of you, and I'm sure you know the same as well, we did a field study at Spice Money, and we actually went and spoke to some of the microfinance borrowers, some of the women in the households, and we actually got feedback where they were more than comfortable to say that no one needs to come to collect the cash. We'll come and actually pay at this agent point because we trust them, we know them, and we will do it. And they don't want to default on their payments. So some of the experiments that we've been running at Spice Money, we've seen good adoption in working with a few microfinance companies in few geographies on how customers themselves, have been guided, and post that have felt more than comfortable to come and pay their EMIs at agent points near them. And of course, that those points also become then education points in terms of digital literacy. So next time, they can be educated that you don't even need to come here. If you have someone in your house having a smartphone, maybe you can pay using that as well. So I think it's a journey. But in this journey, Noopur, you referred to 3 million points. As you know, at Spice Money, we have 1 million of them, and the idea is basically how we enable both feature and smartphone customers to do that. So do you see that opportunity to, where BC agents can play a role of a bridge, as we go up the curve on digital literacy?
Absolutely, Dilip. In fact, given the fact that our banking infrastructure cannot at any point of time reach all the villages, the BC network is the only hope that we all have, in ensuring that the digital transaction reaches the last level. and number of entities are playing a role. But I think the most important role is to be played by the agent who is known in the neighborhood, who's trusted by the neighbors, and people know that he will be able to guide them well in all matters linked to their finances, right? This will happen over a period of time. I think, all of you and many other partners are doing a great job in starting the journey. However, the push also is required from the other entities, be it MFIs or billers or government, in saying that indeed you can actually transact digitally and your money will be safe and you do not have to worry about it. However, I must point out that having said which, there's also an inbuilt conflict of interest for these agents, because they feel that once the customer has been educated, they will lose that transaction and they will lose that income. And it is imperative that in the incentives we build in for them, they are also incentivized for the repeated digital transaction of the customer that they educated. So that is the only point I want to raise, that phygital channel is the only option today in the rural parts of the country. A lot of dependency on them by banks, by lenders, and by government to enable a lot of financial assistance. And they're the only ones who can do it. And yet they have to have that inherent incentive to do that, which we have to solve for.
Yes. Anujeet, how do you see the role of PC networks, now that are getting, built out in semi-urban and rural India? Any experiences that you've had working with BC networks, in your company, or have you seen with other microfinance institutions how they've been able to work with BC networks? What do you see as the role and relevance of such networks?
In fact, we have been using about 7 partners, including Spice Money, for burying our cash, right? We do a lot of, like you mentioned about, 400 crores of cash collection every single month. And we require various touch points so that the field officers on the way bury cash at these points. Then we, apart from just offering small ticket microfinance loans, we also offer impactful insurance products to the customers. So be it cashless mediclaim, home insurance, telemedicine, GPA. So in future, probably these BC networks can be fulfillment centers of a kind. So if MFI were to strike a partnership with any of the BC vendor, this probably could be one of the use cases. Also for fintechs who do not have a large presence on the field, who do not have a network, these BC points could also act as retail asset centers, right? Queries could be raised, and any kind of assist that might be required probably would be provided by the BC points.
Yeah. In fact, I think, Noopur, you use the word phygital, and Anujeet, you use the word assist. I've been at the recent Global FinTech Festival that was held in Mumbai. There was a lot of talk about UPI assist and account aggregator assist. So I think very clearly there are two themes emerging in India as we talk about digitization. One is a self-serve theme and the other is an assist theme. And I think both these themes can together move. And I agree with you, Noopur, that the need to create the right incentive structures so that, assist networks can also be incentivized for self-serve traffic growth. But like Anujeet said, even the assist networks roles could evolve, right? And they could play a role not only in education, but in other parts of the value chain. And that could really help. So I think very clearly the opportunities to work on both fronts. Let me just touch on 2 more points before we close. One is the idea of building awareness, Noopur. The fact that, people are not comfortable, not literate enough in terms of awareness, right? And education, right? What is it that we can do as players in the ecosystem, right? To build education or build awareness around the opportunity to either pay yourself or go to an agent point to pay, and how as an ecosystem we could work together to build more awareness around this topic?
Yeah, so when we talk about awareness, Dilip, a few things come to my mind. One is some of the amazing awareness campaigns that the government has run, in a couple of decades, which actually touched each household and stuck to them for a long period of time. Be it polio drops campaign or each one teach one campaign, so on and so forth. So I am convinced that government needs to play a role in setting up a theme which we can all then take forward. So the theme needs to be aligned across the ecosystem, and I love the example that you used in the beginning around just suggesting the colors that can be used to identify a BC point, right? You've done your bit. Now it is up to others in the ecosystem to follow suit and do a lot of these consistent activity to generate awareness. At the same time, awareness also comes by people talking to each other, by channels like WhatsApp, which are very prominent in today's day and age. So we have to use these innovative channels as we move forward for reaching out to more and more people and creating that awareness that, hey, this is the channel that you can trust. This is how you can identify the people you can rely on, and these are the ways of using those channels. At the same time, I believe that awareness is equally about the benefits of some of these. So the fact that every time a digital transaction happens, it leaves a footprint for people like Anujeet to lend at a low cost, to create a credit score for that individual. These are the educations that need to be provided up, as part of the awareness campaign, that digital transactions are valuable back to these consumers, back to these SMEs, to actually come out of the informal economy and be part of the formal lending ecosystem. So a lot of things to be done where awareness and education is concerned. And I feel very, very strongly that the ecosystem has to come together to talk about it in a unified voice.
Wonderful. Anujeet, how do you see the microfinance companies? We spoke a little about conflict of interest, but these loan officers, collection officers that are going to collect cash or set up these group meetings and all of that, tomorrow as collections goes digital, right? Can they help move cash to digital, or do you see them therefore playing a role in helping build awareness and adoption, or could they come in the way of it?
No, certainly they won't come in the way. They realize that a lot of non-value added time is spent in collecting. And like the example that I was mentioning, hypothetically, if everything is digital, they would be more productive, meaning they would earn more incentive. So it is in their interest to digitize cash. Also, unfortunately, there is not a month, right? There is not a single month where one or two of the loan officers within the industry are not shot at. Right. So there are law and order issues in various states, and carrying cash is a huge risk to life. So what larger incentive than sort of being safe and secure and traveling cash light? So they are certainly a very important stakeholder, and I would agree to Noopur that the message has to be short, crisp. It has to be repeated over and over again. In addition to the campaigns that she mentioned about polio, I think Mutual Fund Sahi Hai is a great campaign. Very short, has been repeated over and over again. At least a lot of people would at least ask, what is mutual fund? Itna sahi hai to bataiye kya hai, right? So the message has to be very short, bite size. MFIs in general are also great vehicle of furthering that message, right? There are about 200,000 loan officers meeting about 5 crore customers every single month.
So, in fact, I was going to touch upon that, Anujeet. Building awareness, like Noopur said, one is a campaign led by government. One is a campaign like Mutual Fund Sahi Hai, very simple, very easy to understand. The other is you called out 200,000 loan officers, weekly, fortnightly, monthly meetings, right? And if they're aligned to this goal of going digital, and like someone said to me that the microfinance business is all about a process-driven business, where this structure of group meetings and bringing the women in the villages together to organize these meetings is also a way to build culture of repayment, right?
Correct.
Can these touch points be also used to build awareness and comfort around going digital? So while you have these campaigns, you also have these 200,000 loan officers connecting. So can the microfinance associations, Anujeet, here play a role? You have over 200 microfinance institutions in the country. You have, nearly 5 crore borrowers, or actually the number might be even higher, to close to 6 crore borrowers. Can the industry come together, and can these 200,000 these loan agents actually play a role in building this awareness on the ground? Do you see this happening?
They can. They certainly can. A unified approach is required. A short, crisp message is required. But more importantly, the design issues around how they should be able to pay, how convenient is it for them, that also needs to be solved first, right? Because it is in the interest of a microfinance institution, an NPCI, a loan officer, but is it in the interest of the borrower, right? So today, a new to credit borrower without any digital trail is also cherished. It is like a gold dust for a microfinance institution, because we are anyways there in the village. For a fintech, someone with a credit track is gold dust. For us, a new to NTC is a gold dust, right? So that incentive is not there for the borrower. So if she has a digital trail of payments, she'll probably get it at a lower price or a higher ticket size. Currently is not built in the system.
So actually, very well called out, Anujeet. And Noopur, if you see the stakeholders, right? You've got NPCI, you've got the microfinance institutions, you've got the loan agents, and then you've got fintech players. And if we put the borrower at the center or the customer at the center, how do we work together to create a product design that works for them, right? How do we make it very simple for them so that when we run the education and marketing campaign, the adoption really grows. So I think this is a great point around, some of the bottlenecks that you mentioned around design, Anujeet, that maybe we need to come together to address. But like Noopur said earlier, some of these points can be addressed. It's a matter of the ecosystem working together to set a goal, saying that we will digitize, these payments happening by nearly 6 crore borrowers in the country. And therefore, these numbers could be nearly 60 billion loan repayments that could be digitized through BBPS. And I think that's the great opportunity.
Dilip, and on that, actually, the answer lies in your question itself, that we have to all consider as borrowers at the center of things, and apply design principle from that as the starting point. I think digitization will not be a choice sooner than later, and the early we can come together and design for the benefit of the end consumer, I think the better we all will be. From Anujeet's perspective, the safety of the loan officers and productivity of a lot of their employees. From your perspective, more and more agents and BCs making higher revenue and therefore being able to sustain themselves as they move forward. And the consumers, of course, not just the ease and convenience of going digital, but also reaping the benefit of it in the days to come. So the sooner we do it, the better for all of us.
Wonderful, Noopur. And I guess, NPCI has been at the forefront and at the center stage of so many things that are happening in our country. And we only look forward, Noopur, to NPCI being at the center of this conversation to bring the ecosystem partners together, whether it's the microfinance institutions or the fintechs, both in the assist and self-serve space, to have this conversation and to actually help digitize nearly 60 billion loan repayments in this country, which can have a win-win benefit across the ecosystem. So on behalf of Spice Money, I would like to really thank both of you, Noopur and Anujeet, for taking our time and coming on this fireside chat. Really great thanks to, both for the work that you all are doing, Noopur with NPCI and BBPS, the work that you're doing, like you said, bringing billers on board and actually helping transform the way payments happen in the country. And Anujeet, the number of customers you're serving on the ground in deep rural India, thank you so much for the great work that you're doing to serve our country. With that, before I close, and we are tempted to do this. This is not an advertising platform. It's really a platform to engage conversation. But I'm just tempted to share with you a video that we created. It's a short 2-minute video that we did at Spice Money to build awareness amongst our BC network on how, they can become points where customers can pay and come to repay their loan. So if I may ask our team here to play that video, I just want to close with that. And I would love Noopur and Anujeet for you to watch.
क्या बात है विकास भाई, बहुत पैसे निकाल रहे हो? घर पे कुछ खास है क्या?
भाई लोन लिए थे बीते महीने, तो उसकी EMI शुरू ही आज से, बस वही जमा करने जाना है शहर।
बात तो करनी पड़ेगी।
विकास भाई एक बात बोलूं, आपका इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बिल, फोन रिचार्ज, D2H, गैस बिल, इंश्योरेंस का प्रीमियम, वाईफाई ब्रॉडबैंड का बिल, इन सब की पेमेंट्स मैं करता हूँ ना। तो जब BBPS की सेवा के साथ इन सब की पेमेंट्स मैं करता हूँ, तो लोन पेमेंट्स के लिए शहर क्यों जाना?
लेकिन तुम तो सिर्फ पैसा निकालने का काम करते हो ना अधिकारी भाई।
ऐसा नहीं है विकास भाई, BBPS सेवा के साथ लोन पेमेंट्स का काम कब से कर रहे हैं। वो तो हमसे ही चूक हो गई कि हमने इसके बारे में पहले ग्राहकों को बताया नहीं।
भाई बात नहीं करोगे तो बात बनेगी कैसे? गांव में जाओ और बताओ सभी को, मेरा समय और मेहनत दोनों बचाओ। ये लो, कर दो लोन पेमेंट।
अगर हम अधिकारी बात नहीं करेंगे तो बात कैसे बनेगी? BBPS सेवा हम अधिकारियों को एक क्लिक पे सभी तरह की पेमेंट्स करने की सुविधा देती है। कस्टमर्स को सभी सेवाओं के बारे में बताना ये मेरी जिम्मेदारी है, क्योंकि हर महीने EMI भरने वो मेरी ही लाल नीनी दुकान पर आएगा। रिश्ता बढ़ेगा, व्यापार बढ़ेगा।
अब स्पाइस मनी में 10 लाख से भी ज्यादा अधिकारी देश का सबसे बड़ा लोन कलेक्शन नेटवर्क बना रहे हैं।
इस स्पाइस वाली दिवाली देंगे सुविधा लोन EMI भी पेमेंट वाली।
So once
Very
again,
nicely made.
Thank you. So with that, Noopur and Anujeet, thank you so much once again. And of course, we will stay connected. And Noopur, we're really looking forward to your leadership at NPCI, amongst many other things, to help bring this ecosystem together. And we can only commit to you on behalf of the ecosystem that we'll work together to drive aggressive adoption of BBPS and digitize MFI loan repayments in the country. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dilip. Really appreciate not just the video that we just saw, it gave me goosebumps, but also for the tremendous work you're doing for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Noopur. Thank you, Anujeet. I wish you all the best, Anujeet. We will stay connected and look forward to working closely with you in the future as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.